Hey guys, I'm Daniel Davis, and the hour hand has just struck 12, meaning that it's that time again to Photoshop 2 more photos. But before we begin, I would just like to remind you to subscribe if you would like to see more of my creations in the future. Anyways, today's topic is birds.
Photo 1.
I started off by selecting the swan and brightening it so that the photo wasn't too dark. I then decreased the vibrance and increased the saturation so that it looked more natural. To make it look even more natural, I increased the shadows. After this, I desaturated the rest of the image so that it didn't stick out as much as the swan. I then did the same with the swan so that it felt more realistic. Next, I selected the background and added a blur to it so that the foreground stood out more and so that I had a nice shallow depth of field. After this, I selected a bit of the swan's neck and slightly blurred it as it looked a little strange. Finally, I duplicated the first layer 2 times and cut out a bit at the top so that I could place a lens flare without affecting the whole photo.
Photo 2.
The second I looked at this photo, I realised that there may be a little difficulty with editing it due to the exposure, but this didn't stop me from doing so. First, I decreased the vibrance so that less of the smaller colours were visible, but added more saturation so that the stronger colours looked good. I then increased the lighting a little bit and further upped the saturation. The next thing I did was the complete opposite of what I did previously. Instead of brightening the photo, I made it darker, so that more shadow was visible, and increased the contrast so that those shadows were drawn out further. To bring them out even more, I increased the amount of highlights and shadows so that I had more natural shadows. Similarly to the previous photo, I duplicated the layer and selected half of this. But despite being rather similar, this was done so that I could add a blur to the top half of the background, as yet again I wanted a shallow depth of field. To make it look more natural, I increased the brightness of the background. But as there were 2 separate layers, I also had to do this to the front, as otherwise there would be a long visible line across the photo. I then increased the brightness of the kingfisher. Before finishing, I added a lens flare, so that these 2 photos had a few similarities. Overall, I quite like the look of these photos, although I don't think they are anywhere as good as my previous edits, so make sure to check them out if you haven't. And although the edits were very quick and simplistic, I believe these small tweaks have improved the overall quality of the photos. So I guess if you take anything from this video, it should be that no matter how your photos look, you can still make them look great in post. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.